Hey, thanks again, man. I appreciate it. Mr. Alexander, Kwame, what's your preference?
You can just call me the man.
We are with the man, Kwame Alexander. We have caught up with him for a few minutes to talk about Acoustic Rooster and his Barnyard Band. After producing a series on Disney Plus and winning all these awards for various kinds of writing, was animation something new for you?
Absolutely. It was, foreign. And I was not intimidated in the sense that I'm a Leo. I think I know everything. And I figured I could figure it out. Well, it was definitely a learning curve. And I learned a lot from my co-executive producer and co-creator, Kay Donmeyer. I learned a lot from our exec producer, Julius. I just, poetry, which is the language that I traffic in, is about being concise. It's about distilling the human heart into a very few words. And animation is about sort of capturing the really simple, mundane, but yet powerful and interesting things about our life into a really palatable, whimsical medium. And so there were some similarities, but certainly some differences that I enjoyed learning.
There's some simplicity in talking to 3 to 5 year olds.
Sure, sure. I mean, first and foremost, being a writer of children's literature, I pride myself on not talking down to kids because I didn't want to be talked down to. And certainly for Acoustic Rooster being a show that's aimed at 3 to 5 year olds, we've got to speak a language that they're going to not only be entertained by, but be engaged with, be informed by, and be inspired by. And so it's a fine balance that you're walking and not trying to talk down to them, and at the same time trying to be, on their level, trying to make sure they get it. And I think we were able to accomplish that.
We always want to know how close is the book to the movie. So, are the characters yours? Mules Davis, Lil Hurden, Ella Finch Gerald, Duck Ellington, the Chickadees. Brilliant.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, there are, quite a few of the characters are from the book, Duck and Mules and Ella. And then there's some new characters that we created that Kay and I created, like Lil Hurden and the Chickadees. And I feel like Louis Farmstrong, like Louis Farmstrong is in there too. But so yeah, so it was a mixture of but I think we held on to the spirit of the book, and I think we held on to the theme of the book and just the whole reason I wrote the book, which was to inform and inspire and educate my kid, who was 1 at the time, on this great American musical form called jazz. And that's what we want to do to young people across the globe.
Are you a jazz lover yourself?
I've been a jazz lover since I was 17, and I came home from spring break from sophomore year in college, and I had just bought a used record player, and there was a girl I was trying to impress, but I didn't have any records, and I was home on spring break in our attic, and I discovered this crate of records, and I was like, ooh, let me borrow these records and take them back to college and play them for this girl I like. And I got back to college and looked at the records, and they were Miles Davis Sketches in Spain, Duke Ellington Take the A Train, Frank Sinatra, I've Got You Under My Skin, So Deep in My Heart, You're Really a Part of Me, Ella Fitzgerald, Scatting, Mac the Knife, Live in Berlin, Nancy Wilson, and it just went on and on. And I just fell in love with jazz and realized that these were all my father's old records. And my father was never really a emotive person. He never say I love you. Like, he wasn't that guy. But when I listened to this jazz and realized these were his records, now, in addition to falling in love with this music at age 17, for the first time I sort of really got to see my dad as a full human being capable of love, and I sort of fell in love with him.
These Barnyard characters have attitude. I mean, it's kind of like pretty close to what I've seen on the bandstand. They challenge each other and sharpen each other. Really interesting interplay.
Yeah, I mean, the goal was again to be representative of what jazz is, who jazz musicians are, and to really try to mimic, not really mimic, but to use as a model, as a template, the coolness, like the birth of the cool, the rebirth of the cool of these cats who play this music that we love. And so, yeah, I wanted to show you the flamboyant, savoir faire of Duke Ellington. I wanted to show you sort of the orneriness of Miles, so all of those sort of characteristics of these real live people, I think, came alive for these characters as well.
And you're really able to show them, that is, the children. The joy of the music. They seem to have fun dancing around. Self-expression, improvisation. You really touch on some of the solid concepts of jazz as you tell the story.
Let me just stop and say, I love the way you ask questions. You don't even ask questions. You just like leave me with these little statements that are triggering me with some interesting remembrances and anecdotes. So that's a cool way to hold an interview. I dig this.
Okay.
You should keep your job. You should keep your job.
Triggering. Right?
Look, nah, triggering was the wrong word,
No,
but now
I like it.
I don't even remember the question. After all that.
Do you have a favorite episode?
Well, we shot a 1 hour special and we shot 20 shorts. So the hope is that we will be able to shoot a whole season with multiple episodes. But I love the special. And if I were to choose a short that I love, um, it's hard to choose. But, for the sake of this interview, I will say that's that old nursery rhyme that we all knew as kids and we all still know by heart. And we sort of gave it a Ella Scat remix and made it into a jazz piece. And it's Old MacDonald. And that's one of the shorts, one of those short episodes that we filmed about that song. And I think the way we did it, that remix is kind of cool and will really resonate with kids, but also with their parents.
I was because my grandchildren are 6 and going on 4. That bedtime story, because it's always about bedtime. I mean, how are we going to get these? How are we going to get these little kids to go to bed? And the Rooster starts out with some upbeat like thing, and Ella walks in and says, "No, no, 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 no. You've got to lull these children to sleep." And then she sort of sings a really sweet song. So. As I said, these are really interesting conversations the animals are holding around the barnyard.
Look, that's a straight riff from my own life in that I'm really animated and I get excited and I like to have fun. And there were times when my wife would say, Kwame, the kid needs to go to sleep. You need to bring it down a notch, chill. Because we're doing bedtime reading and I'm acting it out. We're having readers theater.
Yes.
It's like, no, it needs to be calm and chill, man. So that sort of really comes from my life. And I think that's what we try to do with this acoustic rooster world that we're building on PBS Kids. And that is just really show our lives, show these kids their lives and show them what's possible. Like these episodes will be mirrors where they can see themselves. And there'll be windows where they can see each other. And hopefully, ultimately, this show is not just going to teach them about jazz, but like you talked about, all the different things that jazz teaches us and that music teaches us that ultimately can help us become better human beings.
We're on the line with Kwame Alexander, and we want to go into some extra innings because you've given us more than enough to spark our morning show audience and the KUVO music fans and PBS Kids fans to really dig in. So let me just touch on your passion for literacy a little bit. It's summertime, lots of book clubs and library reading lists. Just a thought about how we keep kids engaged over the summer. Just talking to you as a guy who likes to, write, YA fiction and books for kids. It's summertime. I want to go outside and play. Maybe I'll stay in and read.
No, you should definitely go outside and play. And I think when you come inside, I think there's an opportunity for parents and librarians and teachers and all the adults to remember that books are amusement parks. and that kids need to be able to choose the rides. Don't just give a kid a book and make them read it. Let the kid find their book that they're going to want to read. Field trip to the library. Like you said, libraries have their summer reading programs going on. To a book festival. That's your favorite author. Go see Jeff Kinney, Diary of a Wimpy Kid at the Barnes & Noble. Try to make an activity out of these events, because once a kid finds that book that's going to resonate with them, then they'll want to pick up another book. And that's what we want. We don't want kids to read. We want kids to want to read.
Let's jump in the Wayback Machine right quick while I've got you for a couple more minutes. When you enrolled you're at Virginia Tech, and you're thinking, your bio says you're on the pre-med track, and you sign up for a class with Nikki Giovanni. First, lucky. Second, what were you expecting, and what did you get from the great Nikki Giovanni?
So I was just with her widow last weekend at her house. And Nikki's house was a museum. It's a museum. There's so many books, so much artwork. There's like a letter, from Roberta Flack, and first edition of a poem by Phyllis Wheatley on the wall. And it's just, you walk in there and it's just so beautiful and legendary. And when she passed away on December 9th, I was asked to write the obituary, myself and my dear friend Renee Watson. And so I took a stab at writing the first draft, and I sat in her office where she wrote, writing it. And I sat in her chair where she wrote, writing an obituary about her. And throughout my 3 classes I took with her in 87, 88, and 89, I got all C's. And that was a source of tension and contention between us for years. And as I sat in her office, in her chair, writing the obituary, I kept thinking, am I going to be graded for this? How great would it be if I had the opportunity to be graded one more time by her? What did I learn? What was I trying to learn? I just thought I knew everything about everything. Obviously, 17, 18-year-old kid didn't know everything, but I thought I did. And taking her class, I at least had the intelligence. No matter how much grief I gave her in those 3 years, no matter how much pushback I offered, I at least had the intelligence to keep taking her class, because truthfully, I didn't know what I wanted to learn from her. But when I look back, 38 years later, I realized that while my mother made words fun and introduced me to the power of words, and my father made words functional and helped me understand what words could do in our lives, Nikki Giovanni taught me how to make my words dance on the page. So many, I've written 44 books, and I can trace my evolution as a writer, as a bona fide writer, back to her class in Williams Hall in 1987. So, yeah, I miss her.
I apologize for stumbling into that, but not at all, because we're with you. She impacted, I think, the planet in that kind of way.
Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate that so much. Just briefly, you've just come off a book tour for J versus K, and between these two guys who are rivals, Jay, who loves to draw and hates to read, and Kay, who loves to write and can't draw water, that would be me. Did you take a poll? Who won the tour? Were more people with
Well,
J or more
I'm gonna
people
give
with
you
K?
I'm gonna give you two answers for that. One, of course I won.
Right.
I mean, you're asking me. I won. Two, we were in Austin, Texas, and I couldn't sign books next to Jerry. I needed to sign on the opposite side of the room. Like I felt like I was too crowded, and Jerry used to joke me about that at every tour stop. But he would be on one side, I'd be on the other side, and so we're in Austin. And this family, they go to Jerry to get their book signed, and they walk across the room towards me. And my signing table is near the front door, and so as they're walking towards me, I'm like, "Hey, how y'all doing?" And they just sort of ignore me, and I'm like, "I'm happy to sign your book." And I noticed they're walking past me towards the door, and they say, "No, thanks." And I say, "Huh?" And they say, "No, we're Team J."
Oh.
And I just
Oh.
sort of look at them like, "Okay, do you all realize this is not really a thing? It's like we're really best friends, but
So
people take it
serious.
serious. They took it serious."
Uh, the book J versus K says, my notes here say it's about embracing your own skill set and appreciating others' talents. So that kind of a rivalry played out just sounds like a lot of fun. Perfect
Yeah.
foil for young adult reading, and I'm probably going to check it out myself. Man, fantastic. We do a jazz and poetry show, so my poetry host said, "Hey, see if he'll read something for us." I don't know if it's in your schedule or if you have time to drop a reading of When or the book party or something that's already out there in the public. But I just wanted to give you a shot at, or anything else, any piece. We'd love to hear it for our Sunday night jazz and poetry show. Any chance that you got a minute to drop a few verses on us?
You're asking a lot, my friend,
I know I'm way over.
but I appreciate you in that you remind me and you remind us how important it is to say yes to our life, which is a book that I wrote. I wrote a book called Saying Yes. And it's about the power of that word. And I guess it's my effort to remind us to be tenacious, believe in yourself, even when it seems that no one else does. Find your voice, lift it for the things that matter, for the voiceless, for the invisible. Stir the nest, aim for the sky. Surround yourself with people who help you soar. Chase the sun with bold vision. Embrace the nose and the promise it masks. Practice, face defeat, trust your passion, be a dream worker, be a pocket full of plans, be prepared for some to fail, be okay with that. Be patient, be resilient, be your truth, be grateful for how far you have come today, for this new place you are headed, and what a delight it will be. What a delight it will be when you turn that key and walk through that door tomorrow to discover all the things waiting to be made, waiting for you to make. Be ready to fall in love with the world and say yes, and say yes, and say yes to yourself.
Kwame Alexander, our deep, deep thanks for a few minutes today.
Cool. Thank you for the interview. I appreciate you.
Likewise, we'll keep in touch.